Oh hey, it's Wes, and today I want to talk to you about the Moza Slypod E. Oh hey there. So what are we looking at? I think it's pretty obvious already. The Slypod E is a slider, but not just any slider. It has a slightly unique form factor. I won't say new, because they've done this before with the original Slypod. But this one advances things just a little, streamlines the process. So what do we get? We get 11 inches of travel in a super compact package. Using the Slypod, let's bring her out here, you have a single cylinder design. You have some controls on the bottom here, you've got a 1/4-20 thread on the bottom, as well as the status LED. Then up at the top here, it doesn't come with a tripod head, so you do have to mount one on there. And then there is a quick release for that head. Not like you can mount anything else on there, but anyway, you can lock that down or not. And so, an interesting thing about this is, since you have a tripod head, you can zoom this forward, or sideways, or backward, up, down, whichever way you want to turn that. And on the bottom of the Slypod, we just have an Arca Swiss mount. I love that, love Arca Swiss. I don't know if you missed my previous video converting Manfrotto tripod heads to Arca Swiss. I'm all about the Arca. So, I have a reasonably heavy lens on top of here. It's fine, it's happy with that. So there are ways of controlling the Slypod manually. Let's get into that. For the manual controls, we have a plus button and a minus button, we have the USB-C charger, and we have the main power button up here. So that's well and good, but what do they do? If you press the minus button, while you're using the app control, they do nothing. If you're not controlling via app though, pressing the minus brings it home, pressing the plus pulls it out. One great feature that I enjoy with this is that if you triple click the power button, it brings itself back in and shuts itself off. That is convenient. Single step, you're done. Why do I keep putting this in front of my face? Let's have a look at the app. Within the app, we have lots of controls here. We have regular mode, which just lets you bring it up and down, in and out. You can set the speed that it's going to travel, which in a manner of speaking, allows you to change the volume. This thing is pretty loud. So if you're doing video, you're going to need some off-camera audio for sure. There's gear shift mode that allows you to control the speed, and then it does a smooth start, very smooth start, and a very smooth finish. That was my smooth start. It accelerates. I mean, you can probably hear it accelerating. And then decelerates on the end. Then there's acceleration mode, which again starts slow. And then ramps up in speed. Any of the speeds won't be super high with this though. So that was max speed at the end there. So that's not that interesting. So you can switch it to silent mode, which greatly limits your speed, and it still makes some sound. So this is not the quietest thing in the world. You have onboard firmware upgrading. Wow, did they just come out with a new firmware update? Man, I just checked this the other day. And you can do custom setups. So you can decide how long it's going to take to get from one end to the other, which is useful for sure, so that you don't have to go by speed settings. You can time it out yourself. You can decide how fast it starts. You can do steps, so that's complete customization of what's going on here. You can set individual intervals and then gradient steps. So there's a lot of customizing that you can do with this. But all that is fairly normal, honestly. It's fairly standard stuff when you're talking about these sliders. The best part of this slider for me is this. This is the whole slider. I can throw this in a bag so easily. Most sliders have like rails and pulleys and stuff sticking out of it and feet. Nope, not this one. Just shut it off. This thing is so neat and compact, it's not going to catch on random stuff in my bag, and I am not going to break this. This thing is very rigid and very solid. And so for me, I'm often going from site to site doing really quick jobs. I've always hated setting up sliders because they're such a pain in the butt. This one is super easy to take with you. Now, the huge drawback of that ease of use is it doesn't have dual stage of pulleys like a lot of larger sliders do, less convenient sliders. So you're only getting 11 inches of travel on this. So that does make the applications a little bit limited. And the other big downside of this for me is I did not find the battery life to be amazing. So you really have to stay on top of charging this. And the last thing that I love about this is this grip. I don't know why they built this like an amazing baseball bat, but they did. This is a fantastic grip at the bottom of this. So now this is, yeah, a different form factor. So, are we paying for that form factor? Let's have a look at how the competition stacks up. You've got the cheap ones, the GVM, 32 inch with 23 inches of travel. That's twice as much as this. 200 bucks. It costs less, way bigger, much jankier. I've heard that it's not super reliable. Then you have Edelkron's super advanced but super small Slider 1 V2. It's $500, way more than this. Has less travel. But then you have Edelkron Slider Plus V5 Compact. Very small, 1.3 feet of travel, so slightly more than this, $500. Wouldn't travel as well as this, but it's a good bet if you need a little more space. Now I'm just comparing it against smaller sliders. There are much bigger sliders, but you are going to pay for that privilege. So anyway, you've seen the footage. I've been using this for quite a long time now. Sorry, Moza. I've been using this for way too long. And I've been enjoying it, just the ease of use. I'm someone who has very little patience for setting up and taking down equipment, and so this one checks the boxes for me. And again, I don't do long shoots, so the slightly subpar battery life isn't a big deal for me. If you have any questions or comments about this, let me know down in the comments. I'll get back to you. But until next time, go take some photos.